And a very good morning to you and welcome to K24 this morning. My name is Jeff Mote. As always on the show, we look at the big stories making headlines across your dailies and then discuss these issues a bit deeper, get analysis on this and also figure out how this affects you and me, even as it seems like such a big issue when splashed on a front page of your daily newspaper. That's a discussion we'll be having right here on the show. As always, we love it when you're part of the conversation. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote on Twitter or at K24 TV as well on Twitter as well. You can also chime in on the WhatsApp number that's always scrolling at the bottom of your screen. By the way, if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your People Daily, you can do that. You can get it straight to your phone. The number that you dial is star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, it's star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number and get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the PD and Safaricom, a world of convenience. You don't need any data on your phone. You don't need any mobile app to get this particular paper. Just a number, star 550 star 4 hash. Dial it and get yourself a copy of your PD, all courtesy of the PD and Safaricom. As you do that, the front page of your People Daily, as you download your e-paper, Buzz charges new targets in Christmas ban, says the front page. It's all about matters COVID-19. Government is mulling tougher measures ahead of festivities to curb a rise in infections, putting a damper on celebrations. This is a story that you can get on the front page of your PD. It's also put in detail on page 4. Talking about curfew hours, social gatherings, bars and restaurants, as well as the churches and mosques, and some of the changes that might be put in place as you get into this particular festive season. That story is the lead in your copy of your People Daily today. Also in your PD, I won't lead the no campaign against BBI. Ruto declares. DP says he has been pushed to lead the campaign against the Constitution Amendment Bill, but he is not interested in the contest. For quite a while, he's been talking about trying to reach consensus as far as this document is concerned. But for some people looking at this, it seems like he might be running out of time. Or is he? That is something, as I say, probably only time will tell. But it's a discussion we'll be having right here in studio. You can also get that story in your copy of your People Daily on page 6 therein. Also, Senate recalled to debate Sonko. Senate will be having a special sitting this Wednesday to discuss the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Sonko. Of course, he has also gone to court on the same. And this story can be found on page 5 of your People Daily therein. Last but not least, of course, on the front page of your PD on page 17, going rogue, 800 police facing probe for breaking law. When the law enforcers become the law breakers is a story that you can find in your copy of your People Daily. Let's move it along to the front page of the Daily Nation now. Split over Christmas lockdown. The numbers are worrying and governors fearing their regions will be hard hit by a spike in infections as people travel for the festivities are pushing for movement restrictions. Officials have, however, ruled out another lockdown. So how do they juggle this particular period, even as they try and deal with the increasing numbers as far as COVID-19 is concerned? That story is also leading in your copy of your Daily Nation. You can find it on page 8 therein. And even as we look at that health crisis, as the nurses go on strike over pay, they're calling it all about the money. Nurses and other health workers in public hospitals will begin their strike at midnight today. This, of course, was revised as they had discussions and have been given 14 days in order to come to an agreement as far as this is concerned. And this is something we are very keenly watching. Even as the government tries to deal with these COVID-19 numbers, they really need to take care of the frontline workers. And that is an issue that will be subject to this particular 14 days respite that they have. But you can find the details of that particular story and how it led to that in your copy of your Daily Nation. That is on page 8. The front page of the Standard now, they're calling it the road to Damascus. Quote-unquote, no contest is what they're talking about. Until the day he was hosted by President Kenyatta at State House 2 weeks ago, Ruto was determined to stop BBI reggae. Since then, his resolve has gradually softened. Only 2 issues now separate him from a yes vote, the election of women MPs and a multiple choice referendum. Still, he's all yes inside out. How does he move from here, and how does he get these 2 issues gets them, of course, on the table and get some consensus on that? You can find that story on page 8 of your Standard, the details of that therein. Also in your Standard, doctors call off strike, ready to hold dialogue. Medics suspend industrial action for 14 days, but warn that should the government fail to address their grievances, they will down their tools. That story is on page 6 of your Standard. Get the details of that therein. Finally, from page of your Star now, BBI dilemma. DP Ruto reduces his tough demands. Multiple choice referendum, election of women reps to National Assembly, this being what some might call the irreducible minimums, perhaps, as far as this particular political negotiation is concerned. You can find that story on page 4 and 5 of your Star this morning. The details of that therein. They're talking about the DP changing tack for a second day in a row, and the DP now narrowing down to only 2 issues as far as this report is concerned. And you can find that story in your copy of your Star. Once again, like I said, on page 4 and 5 therein. As you can see, really front and center, 2 issues that we'll be discussing even right here on the show. Matters health in terms of a looming health strike that was averted at the last minute, but also BBI. From here, where do we go? Of course, they've spoken about 5 million signatures. Where does it go from here, and how do we get to what the Standard is calling Damascus? It's a story we'll be having right here. But even before we get to that, let's set the stage, because as of yesterday, before 9 p.m., the whole country was waiting for a nationwide strike, as medics had threatened to down their tools with regard to lack of meeting some of their needs as far as PPEs are concerned, the COVID allowances are concerned, even insurance for frontline workers. This was averted in the last minute, and now they have 14 days to dialogue this with the government and try and see get some middle ground on this and get these demands met, or else they will down their tools. This is a story that we ran yesterday. It'll set the stage for discussion as well. Let's take a look.
Since the entry of COVID-19 into the country early this year, health workers have often been praised for being at the forefront in battling the pandemic. However, the current situation is quite the opposite, as beginning midnight tonight, health facilities countrywide will lack the presence of any professional assistance.
Come Monday morning, you will have no doctors. The strike will continue as per the advisory of the National Advisory Council of KMPDU.
KMPDU Secretary General made the statement after talks with various government agencies before the National Assembly Health Committee, a session which has been held regularly for the purpose of finding a solution.
Sijui kama kweli ni kasumba imetushika ama sijui ni nini ambayo.
The failure to resolve the matter was on Sunday elaborated by nominated Senator Millicent Omanga, pointing out that the priority of stakeholders in the health sector is quite the opposite of improving the deteriorating situation in the sector.
Wakaita Minister wa Health, wa Treasury, na wote ambao wako kwa hiyo sekta ya kuhudumia, kwa hiyo malalamishi yao. Na ndio nasema ni kasumba imetushika, kwa sababu CS wa Health hangekuja, CS wa Treasury hangekuja, kwa sababu ako huko Marsabit kuokota signatures za BBI, wa Health sijui ako pande gani kwenda kuokota signatures za BBI. Hawana wakati wa kukaa na madaktari.
Na tukadanganywa hapa ati sijui within 60 days COVID billionaires will have been dealt with, na hiyo maneno ikaisha, because pia sisi kama wa Kenya we do not get angry enough.
Some of the demands often presented by doctors include better working environment, majorly contributed by the availability of adequate protective gear, comprehensive medical cover, as well as adequate human resource.
These things that are happening in this country on doctors are just contempt for doctors. I mean, we are frustrating the people who are supposed to take care of all of us.
Tutatue mambo ya matatizo ya madaktari, tutatue mambo ya matatizo ya corona, tuelekeze mipango yetu na mambo yetu yote pale badala ya kutafuta mashindano kwenye referendum.
The strike is now feared to lead to an increase in infections and even fatalities arising from the COVID-19 virus, as well as other illnesses.
Tuko na shida kubwa, corona inamaliza wa Kenya.
Kweli wa Kenya maisha yao kwa hatarini, lakini walioko mbele kabisa ambao wanafaa kukabiliana na ugonjwa huu wamefariki 10, wameanguka.
Ben Kirera Kitchen.
And of course, since then, there have been developments on this particular story. The government, of course, has reached some sort of aversion to the strike. They have 14 days now to sort this out, and then from there, of course, move forward. But the medics have already said that if indeed this isn't met in 14 days, they will definitely down their tools. So that's where it stands at this particular point, and that's where we'll start this particular discussion. In studio, Charles Munyui, governance expert. Good morning.
Good morning to you, my brother. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Nashukuru.
I can also see you have your lovely desk mate.
It takes all the time. We need a time manager over here. It takes all the time.
Gloria
I never get an opportunity to speak.
You know, the people who already know they're going to lose elections, they start complaining early.
I'm not vying.
Youth policy analyst and expert as well. Good morning, Gloria.
Morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Also joining the show for the first time is Joel Mwita. He's a governance expert. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Karibu sana and welcome to the show.
Asante.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for making time. I want us to start right from where that story has left. And this is COVID-19 and the plight of health workers. Yes, we have 14 days to sort this out. But, Charles, the natural question is, we don't even need those 14 days. We've had more than 250.
It is true.
To try and get to the bottom of this. Because really what the doctors are asking for are bare minimums.
Yes.
They want PPEs. They want insurance for what they'll be doing every day. And the government can't do this, won't do this. What's the problem? From where you stand as a governance expert, why is it taking the government so long to deal with the one issue the entire world is grappling with?
I think we have badly treated our professionals. Let's put it that way. For a very long time. It's not 5 years ago. It's not 10 years ago. I think this country has not treated its professionals very well. And especially even medics. It's not just about medics. It's about teachers. It's everyone who has put in a lot of time to pursue an education. I think they are relegated to third tier, fourth tier citizens, if you ask me. And it's a deliberate thing that we've done as Kenyans. If you look at how we treat politicians, they want a salary increment, they get it. And people who never even went to school, some are operating fake documents, but they are getting all that they can. There was even this thing of them wanting a helicopter to airlift them to the best medical facility every now and then when they're not feeling very well. So I agree. I think our medics need to be treated better. I totally agree. This aspect of devolving health has also been a little bit confusing for all of us, and especially the fact that in devolving, we did not manage it like with the way we manage teachers. The workforce itself, I think this needs looking into. And even ultimately, the Health Commission should ultimately be a constitutional commission, ultimately, because that's the only way you'll be sure these ladies and gentlemen that are doing so much, and especially at a time like now, I think for the first time in the history of this country and the world generally, we have been able to interact with what these great guys do for us. And moving forward, I think we cannot waste that opportunity. The fact that we've seen what they do, what they are capable of doing, resolving our issues, suffering and even getting hurt, literally hurt in the process. We need to look at them twice, 3 times and sort out these issues. We need to focus on them. But of course, that does not mean everything else stops. I think that's a disconnect right there, and I think that's where the point of departure. The bottom line is, let us look at these things, chew and walk at the same time. Try to resolve these issues. And some of these issues are resolved through these processes that we are talking about. Devolved governments, county governments have not been serious about what they do, if you ask me. The health is a devolved function, literally, because other than national referral hospitals, everything else belongs to counties. They are the ones with the money for that because a function is followed by the money. So I think we need a clearer way of doing these things so that our people do not suffer in the course of serving us. Okay,
I want to have Joel in on this one as well, Joel, because something Charles has brought up, and that is the mooted health commission moving forward that might deal with these particular issues. And here we go again, talking about these particular proposals in the BBI that will solve problems in the future that you're experiencing right now. And that's where very many Kenyans are having a disconnect with, in the sense that people are in hospitals now, doctors don't have the PPEs now. We need something done now. Why is it so hard for the government to do that?
Yeah, I think it is kind of some institutional failure. And what we can say is it is not about the health commission that will sort out the health problem that you have in our country here. And you can see this has become kind of a societal problem, whereby people even steal what is meant to help for the sick. You've seen in very many hospitals, you go there are even no drugs. And I can say with my personal view that the doctors really have a legit argument here when saying that the health sector really need to be looked at. And as a country, it is a great honor to prioritize our issues and see on how we are going to deal with our health crisis. You can see even what is happening in Baringo. even before the strike was called to off, then you saw already doctors were already out of the hospital. And also, you see, it is somehow legit for them because they can also not expose themselves to some dangers that they can avert. So it is a collective kind of venture whereby all the institutions which really operates within that particular angle to ensure that our health sector is at par. And there is become something called ethics and values, so that if you are given a responsibility to do some kind of work, you kindly need to do it so that we don't have people coming to make money out of the sick people. We've seen so many scandals in the health sector. And I think if that one is even stopped, most of the things will go on with our health sector. The cartels in the health sector are just crazy.
Okay, let me bring in Gloria on this one as well, because from that particular story that we've seen that was filed by Ben Kerera, this is also taking a political angle, as you can see at this particular point in time. And the line in the sand can clearly be seen, those who have been pointing at the government and saying that we expected the COVID billionaires by now to be brought to book and all of this. How do we try and move away from the noise and actually have this sorted out?
You know, for me, government is there to provide services to the citizens. We pay taxes and we elect leaders and we agree to be governed under institutions of government so that we can receive services from government. And at this moment, when I hear people saying that we have a constitutional moment, I want to disagree and say we actually don't have a constitutional moment. What we have is a health crisis, because that's what's happening when you look at our doctors and, these looming strikes and the conflicts that they are, having between government and resources and stuff. So we have a health crisis, but we also have an economic crisis, because I'm pretty sure if you really look into the story as to why they are not releasing the PPE that is sitting at KEMSA to the doctors, because really that's what they're saying. They're saying that they need this PPE. The PPE is sitting at KEMSA. This was already confirmed by the cabinet secretary, what's his name, Kagwe. So when you follow that story and actually try and find out, why can't you just release that PPE to the doctors so that we can, move forward and try and deal with this pandemic? You will find that it is attached to someone who's trying to do business. You'll find that it is still attached to the fact that we haven't brought to book these COVID billionaires, and yet there is a detailed report that was actually tabled to the Senate committee that clearly could point fingers to certain individuals who were found to have gone against the Procurement Act of 2015 or were found to have been meddling. I mean, last week we read the newspaper where we were told that Senator, what's his name?
Sakaja?
Yes, I call him a glorified class prefect. Sakaja. Sakaja was actually mentioned, and they said that, he was partly involved. These are their allegations, but you want to tell me that these are not issues that government can actually go in as they're investigating and promising us to bring the people to book. And please remember, we were also, the president came out strongly and gave a timeline and said that the COVID billionaires, we are going to have them accountable in certain days. None of that happened. So I think what is going on right now is that, first of all, I believe that our president is being misguided. And I believe that whatever cloud that is fogging his vision has actually really digressed him from offering services to the people who elected him. And he's now focused on chasing the wind on BBI, which really is not offering any services to the Kenyans. So I think what we are seeing now is, first of all, we have lack of leadership from the top down. Because if we had a strong leader who understood, this is where we are. We have a pandemic. We have issues with the second wave of the locust. We are opening schools. We don't really know how we are going to deal with the reopening of schools. We have the looming drought, which, by the way, is every other year. But, I mean, these are serious issues that should be prioritized, if you ask me, other than sending your cabinet secretaries and your permanent secretaries and your chiefs and your assistant chiefs to go out and collect signatures to please, an opposition leader. So that is what it is, really.
Well, Gloria, I think they did come out and say they didn't use government machinery.
No, but we have actually, and Jeff, you know, they can say whatever they want to say. We have people out here who are working in government, who have come out to all these other platforms, alternative media, and actually even given proof that they were coerced and they're being forced or they're being, you know, pushed to sign. Otherwise, you know, their jobs currently at civil service, they're being threatened, or otherwise, you know, whatever it is, the influences that the chiefs and the sub-chiefs have, they're actually using that. And if you ask me, that is the problem with this whole initiative, is that it is government-sponsored.
Okay, yeah, we'll be coming to that in just a bit, because that will be in the second half. But Charles, I want to come to you with the fact that as she has put it, in terms of what we expected as far as the COVID millionaires are concerned, and all of these issues that have cropped up during COVID-19, yet we are still talking about BBI. Will we wait for this particular report to be adopted so we can have the intelligence service to come back and work on these corruption cases and find out who are the directors behind the companies, where the money went? Because this is actual graft happening in real time. This is the best time to solve such a scandal.
Jeff, you know, let me advise my sister not to over-rely on social media for the truth. You know, if you tell me Jeff has said something on the Star or on the People Daily, then I will listen. But social media, we know what happens. We know how people can throw in anything in there. You'll find even Charles half naked, you know, but I was well dressed in here. So honestly speaking, let us not go that direction, because we know how these documents are flying around. There is no serious government person who will write a letter and then append a signature and say you are forced to do A, B, C, D. I mean, come on. Now, having said that, it is true. The orders were given for investigations to be concluded at a certain time. And I want to believe investigations were concluded and a file was given to the ODPP. The ODPP looked at it and advised on how this needs to happen. Because again, we have had a problem in this country because we rush people to court, as it were. And the office of the ODPP would like to convict people. It's that simple. The criminal justice system is not just about the person investigating. It's about the person investigating. It's about even the lawyers in there. It's about the ODPP. It's about the courts. It's about all these things. For you to get a conviction, for you to get what you really want, and for even the money to come back, a lot of things need to be done in a better way, and that's a reality. And we have seen that file going this way, on the other way. It is true. We have a problem in this country in terms of the time it takes for a matter to be initiated and for it to be concluded, especially in court. And that is something that needs to be looked into by way of empowering the judiciary, by way of, you know, having clarity in terms of how we apply some of these things, the operations in the court, so that we don't over-delay some of these matters. And you've seen even the Chief Justice giving directions, practice directions, so that we save as much time as possible on certain issues. And I think these are issues that will grow as we go on. Having said that, the obsession with the national executive, the obsession with the belief that is only one person that is failing this country, I think is not fair, literally, like I have said here. I have said the doctors are not just striking because of PPEs. They have a lot of grievances. They're even talking about the health, the insurance scheme. They're talking about salaries. They're talking about all these things that put together is a huge issue that cannot be resolved by saying it is PPEs that have not been released to them. Doctors and medical staff generally are not just about PPEs. PPEs, yes. That is an issue that can be resolved very quickly. And I've seen there is even claim from the government side that these things have been released. So the circulation they are in and how they have not reached the doctors and the other medical personnel is something that needs interrogating so that we know where is the disconnect. But it's bigger than that. And when you're organized into a commission that is working for you, that works better. So when we say, and remember, it is them that proposed that that commission is established in the first place. Gloria and myself will sit here and pretend that that commission is not important. But the people who propose that should be there are the medical guys. And they did that by way of writing a memorandum to the BBI team. So let us not sit here and assume that we have the solutions to everything and we have the proposals to everything. People who have been affected by this have said this is the direction to go. And that does not mean you stop doing everything else. As this process progresses, the United States, with over 3,000 deaths in 24 hours, every now and then, held an election comfortably, and they had to do it. They did it. If Jeff today elections were next week, and you tell Kenyans, Gloria here, that we are going to suspend this uchaguzi because we need to sort out this and the other one, Gloria will stand on this table and tell us, no, don't do it that way. There is a better way of doing it. What we are saying is we must learn to chew and walk as Kenyans. The biggest responsibility in dealing with matters COVID is about personal responsibility. You've seen people packing weddings today as we speak, packing bars, churches, people singing their hearts out, which they should do, wearing no mask, zero social distancing. Those are the issues of enforcement that we need to seriously deal with, as we also deal with the issue of how do we have our medical, teams or people so that they are also able to serve.
Okay. Joel, I want to bring you in on this one before we get even to our first break. We have 14 days now for this particular dialogue to take place. Are you optimistic that probably now, after they've seen the gravity of what could be a second wave that we're experiencing right now, the government will hasten in terms of trying to bring in these particular issues that have been on the demand list for doctors?
Yeah, I think I'm so hopeful, even going by what the Senate tweeted yesterday, what the Senate Committee on Health, together with the Parliament Committee on Health, urging the doctors to just stay put and ensuring that they are going to sort out their problem is, for me, it is a progressive thing. And also second, that there are also some steps which have already taken place. We've seen now the government directing NHIF to work on the insurance cover that will also make our doctors be covered in that particular insurance. So, and there are a lot of meetings which have been planned for this week and next week to bring all the stakeholders together to ensure that we solve this particular crisis once and forever. And in this matter, as my friend Charles has said, it is about a personal responsibility, so that we don't blame it all on the president, but it is something that even Jeff, yourself, you have a role to play in ensuring that we have a secure and a healthy country. You see, we have seen that people are told to do something. For example, don't go to the bars, drink carelessly, social distance, wear mask. Do you really want Dr. Matiang'i to come and tell you wear your mask? And it is your own responsibility. So in a nutshell, that let us not be blaming only the leaders, but even us, and even in terms of individual responsibility. And you see, we are a country, when you see even the preamble of our constitution, that fears God. And if people go ahead and do the contrary of what God wants, then that is contrary to what we believe, and will be punished. So we are saying all the sectors, all the institutions that works on the health matter really need to step up and ensure that we have a health situation whereby everyone is admiring too, and we have a very prosperous country that is adhered to the COVID-19 rules, and we have a health system.
Okay, that'll bring us to our first break right here on the show. Robert Wanjala saying, Shida Gavani, the same thing every time after 14 days, still no solution. I see these doctors going on strike. Okay, that's from Robert. Keep them coming in. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. Take a short break. After the break, we switch gears and talk about the fork in this road to the referendum. Where do we go from here? Some people have been saying that the DP Ruto is now flip-flopping from what he said earlier. He's really toned down his rhetoric on this one. It's a discussion we have after the break right here on K24 this morning. Don't go too far.